Howdy y'all, Joe Hooker 11 here, bringing you another episode of the Joe Hooker 11 Show. So, while I did say last time that I was going to be doing my next episode on my tablet situation, I've decided instead to focus on the Clone Wars series, and not just any part of the Clone Wars series, but the story arc that had just happened, the Darth Maul taking over the criminal underworld. Now, unfortunately, I have to say that Season 5 has been kind of a letdown for the most part. I mean, you have the really great episode with Hondo, the pirates, and Maul and Savage and all that. But then you have the lightsaber building story arc, which was a terrible story arc. Then you have the droidsy episodes and whatnot, and you also have the Andoria episodes. Well, Onderon, excuse my pronunciation, with Ahsoka. I do not like Ahsoka. Perhaps because she's just a female version of Anakin, and so she should die. I just don't like her. However, then we get back to Maul and whatnot, and his take over the criminal underworld, which is an excellent story arc. It was awesome. Death Watch, meeting with Maul, making alliance, taking over Mandalore by using the criminal underworld, which Maul takes over, and having Death Watch made out to be the heroes, but then all of a sudden there's a twist. Pre Vizsla, commander of the Death Watch, throws Maul into prison, which is a stupid idea because you have two Sith in the same cell together. They're going to use the Force and breakout. Obviously, that's going to happen, and then you have a really awesome sword fight. Maul takes over Death Watch, thus taking over Mandalore. He's pretty much set a puppet prime minister so that way he can control all this. And all of a sudden, Obi-Wan comes, there's Satine dies, and then all of a sudden Sidious comes along. He's like, hey, I don't like what you're doing here. I'm going to have to punish you and kill Savage Priest. Wow, that is full. I don't even think that there was 4 episodes. There's only like 3 episodes or so. And there was so much stuff in it. It was so action packed, and that was the one thing that all these other ones did not have. All these were very slower paced episodes. I mean, even the Onderon episodes were slower paced. No, this is very much a boom, boom, boom. Now, some of the things I did like about the well, actually, instead of doing the likes, let's do the dislikes. One thing I do not like is the fact that we still haven't figured out who's a better man, Obi-Wan or Maul. They've been saying this up since season 3, with Savage finding out about his brother Maul still alive. They've been saying this up that there's going to be this final showdown. They've been setting it up, and yet it still hasn't happened. I mean, we have had 2 duels between, well, 3 duels between Obi-Wan, Savage, and Maul, and they still haven't killed him off. And I really hope that the Hondo episodes on Hondo's pirate planet, that duel, is not the showdown duel between them. I really hope that there is a showdown between them. But I did not like that. I also did not like the fact that Satine died. I liked her. I really liked Satine. And maybe it's just because of the fact that she's a love interest of Kenobi's, and that's a unique idea. Maybe that's it. But I really hated that she died. It's like, really, did you have to kill her? Well, I guess they had to. However, on the other hand, what I did like is Maul takes over the underworld. And not only does he take over the underworld, he's setting up government in place. He's making sure that everything's running. And we have to assume that Maul would have learned these administrative skills, because what is the goal of the Sith? It is not to defeat the Jedi. It is not to defeat the Galactic Republic. No, those are only part of the goal. The goal is complete domination of the galaxy. How can you run the galaxy if you don't have laws, if you don't have a government? So, while Sidious would have still ruled the galaxy, what would Maul have been doing? He would have been Darth Vader, pretty much, making sure that everything's going according to plan. So he would have learned these administrative skills, and you get to see him put them to use, which is really nice to see. It's also nice to see kind of how Vizsla does not die like a wimp. There is a massive showdown, which was the best episode. lightsaber, well, not lightsaber duel, but just duel in general up to that point in time. And I'm like, wow, that is freaking awesome. And especially since the producers at the beginning of the show, what did they say? They say we will not do fast lightsaber fights. We will not do fast fights because of the fact that that's not how humans actually fight. This is science fiction, for goodness sakes. It is not going to be realistic. And also, did you watch episode 3 before you filmed this? Before you started making these episodes? Because they're fighting fast. They are fighting completely fast. And I think that's just a way of saying that our computer graphics haven't gotten up to speed yet, but they just didn't want to admit that. But anyways, so the last thing I really like is kind of seeing. I'd always wondered, is Maul creating this underground empire to work in concert with the Galactic Empire, the new order that will rise? Or is he doing this with the mindset of taking over the entire operation at one point? And does Sidious really believe that Maul is still out there? And if he does believe that he's out there, does he know what's going on? And if he does know what's going on, does he approve of it? We find out in the last episode he absolutely does not approve of it. And I think the only reason he did not go after him sooner is because of the fact that he was still a small fish. He really was doing no harm to nobody because of the fact he was still a small-time operator. However, all of a sudden he has a criminal faction of the galaxy under his control. He is a real threat now. So then he goes, and I really love how Maul is like, I'm on my throne, I've got everything. Wait, I think I've said something. Holy F. It is Master Sidious himself. And he tries to pull off this BS story about, oh, I'm building up this empire for you. And Sidious is like, you piece of poop. You are not building this up for me, and I'm going to teach you a lesson. And I really like how neither one of them falls like the Jedi Council did. The Jedi Council fell almost immediately. These guys are fighting it out and everything, and you see like Maul really taking a beating. These guys are taking beatings and whatnot, but they're still holding their own. And well, Savage dies in a pretty epic way. I mean, you can't go wrong if you've been killed by Sidious. I mean, you really can't. But it's kind of sad. But then one of the other things that I like is that we get to see Sidious kind of how powerful he really is. You never really see that in the movies, just how powerful he is. I mean, he's choking people. He keeps on walking off. He's not paying attention to these guys, and the guys are still choking that's really something new. And my prediction is that Maul is going to become a Asajj Ventress type of assassin. I think that's what he's going to become. And that the new story arc is going to pretty much be Maul messing up with the Jedi Council and whatnot, and does Ahsoka blah 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 blah, and hopefully she dies because she'll be killed by Maul. But anyways, the last thing that I'm gonna say is I really like how they show Obi-Wan that he's really affected by the death of Satine. He doesn't just brush off like the good Jedi does. I have no emotions. He really feels the pain over the death of her, and that he's still. I think that's going to be something about him. He's going to still be kind of affected by it in future episodes. But yeah, overall it was a really good story arc. I'd give it a 10 out of 10. And while I'm still waiting for the final showdown between Obi-Wan and Maul, at least we've got him kind of in check Maul. And I will, and that's it. That's the episode. Please like, subscribe, comment, or whatnot, and I shall see you all later.